Alright, and welcome to another episode of Eat, Smoke, Drink, Coffee Edition. Today I'm going to be taking you through something unusual. We're doing a Frank's coffee. I've done a couple of Frank's coffee before. His style seems to be on the darker side. Coffee style seems to be on the darker side of the roast, medium to medium dark. I think my general preferred coffee, filter coffee, is medium to medium light. But nevertheless, I like the first two Franks that I've tried, because even though it's on the darker side, it's just on the cusp where I found a tolerance of the roast showing through, and it's great. It's fantastic for a slightly stronger flavor. Nevertheless, this attracted me because it was grape and Tartaric fermentation. So literally, they must have had a harvest of grapes, who knows, but grape and tartaric acid fermentation. I've never had that before, and it is by Felipe Arcila, which I'm becoming a huge fan of him. Their processes have been innovative, interesting, and the EF2s and the super long carbonic maceration, all that shit, been fantastic. So nevertheless, let's get on with it. Grape and tartaric fermentation. I said to myself, I need to try this, and I have no idea what to expect, but I need to try it. The beans. They are very multicolored, some dark, some lighter, so maybe it is a staged roast to give you that flavor. This is not as dark as the first two that I've reviewed, so this is definitely on the lighter side. Actually, now I'm looking at it. Look, I'm getting a fruitiness in there. I'm getting a super sugary fruitiness in there. Because I know it's grape, I'm thinking it's grape, but let's be honest, I'm not really picking the grape. I think it's just a placebo effect. It's more sweet, sickly sweet fruitiness, like an overripe fruit. Overripe guava, waxy, slightly smoky, very woody, toasted nut, toasted cashews, slightly almondy, freshly tanned leather, hay, some dry pine wood. Look, the nose of the bean is fantastic. The nose of the bean is fantastic. I don't know if this is an anaerobic fermentation or whatever. No clue. But there is a pickle or funk there. Sorry, I didn't look at my notes. I'll publish it in the bottom anyway, the notes of the roaster. I don't really care. I just want to smell it and sniff it. But there is definitely a funk to it, okay? Like, not such a strong funk, like a 200-hour fermentation bean. Maybe it is, I don't know, but there's definitely a funk to it that I quite like. But the nose is slightly unusual, not overly unusual, but the sickly, sugary sweetness is definitely unusual. That's quite a striking note of the bean. You can't escape that. Yeah. Definitely a sugary, sickly sweetness to it. So anyway, let's nose the brew. Let's nose the brew. I'm not getting an unusual smell on the brew. I am getting a sweetness on the brew, definitely a fruitiness, a slight acid. The nose on the brew definitely has something unusual I can't put my finger on. It's my first grape tartaric acid ferment, so I don't know, but oh, you know what? I'm getting some grape lollies in there, some grape candy now. I just needed it to breathe a little. Wow. Okay. It's weird because I'm definitely getting a grape flavor in that brew. That is weird, man. That is weird. But not a huge amount. You can definitely pick it, but not a huge amount. It smells like the artificial grape, sickly sweet, grape sour, chewing gum, hubba bubba type of flavor. That is bizarre. Now I can't take my attention off that grape. Slightly medicinal. Some smoke. Charred wood. Slightly vegetal. But that grape, it's really, wow. Okay, the grape is very noticeable. Okay, the first few noses, I think my nose was a little bit confused from the bean to the brew, but I'm definitely getting a grape smell in that. Look, let's get sipping. For all intents and purposes, the main theme that I'm getting is definitely a slightly darker roast coffee with a funk. I think this will be an anaerobic fermentation perhaps, or something similar, but I don't know, but it's definitely got a funkiness to it. Slightly smoky, leathery, earthy, some roasted nuts, burnt sugar. Then the aftertaste is followed by the strange, almost spirituous, evaporating grape note, like a grape flavorant. I mean, it's not like a table grape that you eat. It's like, you know, when you try to plant grapes and it's the grapes that you don't, it's not really made for eating. It's probably for wine making or something else, or vinegar. It's a sickly sweet grape. I'd say artificial, but it's not, because it's not artificial. I've had a grapevine in a house before where it produces so much grapes, but you can't eat it. It's so sour and sickly sweet smell. Like you got the sickly sweet smell of a grape. And it's not unpleasant. It's not like the Mandarin one that didn't agree with me. But it is a mindfuck. It is definitely a mindfuck. It's like it's gaslighting me. This coffee's gaslighting me. It's like, is it coffee or is it something else? For all intents and purposes, it's coffee. It's great. The flavors are there. And then suddenly, the aftertaste, you get hit with this grapiness. And it's graping me. Get it? Sorry. You know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's not something that I would buy again. But it's not something that I would discard and say, no, I'm not drinking that. Because the coffee foundation flavor is really good. It is fantastic, in fact. And then you get hit with this weird grapiness. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm actually going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. It's been roasted 13 days ago. I'm going to keep it another week, and I'm going to revisit it from there and drink it from there to let it calm down a bit more. Let the beans breathe and exhale a little. But it's not a bad coffee. It's not a pour over the shoulder coffee, but it's not something that I would buy again. But what a hell of an experience. I mean, grape and tartaric acid, hey, who knows? But I'm becoming a fan of Frank Coffee's roasting style. Slightly on the darker roast, but well balanced. 3 out of 3 so far on the darker side, but not crossing that line of too much. So it's fantastic. I wouldn't say it's my favorite roastery in New Zealand, but it is definitely pretty good for me. I like it. If I want something slightly ballsier, then Frank's Coffee so far is going to be the one that I'm going to go, you know what, I like it. Until next time, make sure you eat, smoke, drink, and caffeinate. Cheers.